In today's video, we're going to be talking about underrated Space Marine chapters. These are the Space Marine chapters that I feel deserve more love, not only through the lore, but through the tabletop as well. Maybe White Dwarf could give them an index of starters at some point in the future to bring that chapter alive a little bit more, give them some rules, and allow people to fight with the chapter that they always loved. Now, the first underrated chapter on my list is the Iron Snakes. I'm actually starting with successors of the Ultramarines. Is this Heresy? It feels like Heresy. But the Iron Snakes are absolutely fantastic. I remember reading the book by Dan Abnett that was released a few years back, and I was like, wow, these are actually awesome. In that book, there was an Iron Snake and he was taking on a bunch of Dark Eldar, if I recall correctly, and he was literally kicking ass. It was so awesome. It went more in depth about the Iron Snakes, about, you know, their homeworld and everything like that. Like, they fight these giant sea snakes on their like frozen planet. It's really, really cool. And I was always really let down that they actually never got any more love apart from that novel. I know there actually is another novel coming out, and the author of that novel, his name escapes me. I know it's not Dan Abnett, it's someone else. So hopefully we can actually start seeing more lore with the Primaris Marines now coming into the Iron Snakes. And I wonder if they'll start picking up the rituals of the Iron Snakes, because there is a very lot of rituals a part of that chapter that really makes them stand out. Even though they're a Codex Astartes chapter, their uniqueness in the way they do things make them really awesome. Moving on to the next chapter on my list, and it is none other than the Hammers of Dawn. Probably one of the most sexiest colour schemes, one of the most sexiest looking chapters you'll ever bloody see. Now, if going against Ultramarines was a thing, these chaps will be number one, because they have a great rivalry with the Ultramarines and their successor chapters. This chapter actually takes pleasure in pointing out the failings of the Ultramarines and their successor chapters when they don't follow the Codex Astartes. Like, the Hammers of Dawn take the Codex Astartes to the next level. They follow every word of this bit by bit. Think of this chapter as a 1,000-man Leandros. That is the best way to think of it. This is what this chapter is. I know a lot of people will dislike that, but that is how much these chaps follow the words of Guilliman. I think one of the reasons why the Hammers of Dawn really don't get the recognition they deserve is because the Sons of Dawn have so many fantastic successor chapters. You have the Crimson Fist, you have the Black Templars, you have the Reclaimers of Dawn. All these chapters that are in the lore really push these type of chapters to the back of the queue, even though that they deserve to be up there with the rest of them. Moving on the list, we have the Marines Malevolent, and I know this could actually be heresy from me, because we don't know the origins of the Marines Malevolent. We know that they were founded around the 32nd millennium, but there's no origins of their gene father at all. It's led some to believe, because the way they act on the battlefield, that these chaps actually could be from the Iron Warrior gene lineage, but we have no confirmation on that fact. Now, the Marines Malevolent have a bit of a reputation about them, and the reputation is that they don't care who or what they kill, just as long as they kill the enemy. They don't believe in collateral damage. This has actually brought them in confrontation with other chapters. One of note is the Salamanders. We all know the Salamanders really take it upon themselves to protect humanity, to try and safeguard the people they're protecting. There was one time where the Marines Malevolent basically bombarded an entire hive just to kill those enemies inside of it, killing most of the civilians in that hive. And the Salamanders were like, hey, how dare you do that? We're here to protect these people. And the Marines Malevolent were like, I don't care, as long as the enemy's dead, that's all that matters. So they may be bastards, but at the end of the day, they're our bastards, and we have to put up with it, because they're purging the enemies in the Emperor's name. Next up is a chapter from the gene lineage of the Lion, and these are the Guardians of the Covenant. Now, these are my favourite looking Dark Angels. Favourite looking ever. Like, I can actually play these in the Deathwing game, and when they added them, I was like, right, I'm changing all my skins to the Guardians of the Covenant, because that is how much I love the look of these chaps. The red and the silver, the black pauldrons, it just goes together like a dream. When you see like a full tabletop army of these chaps, it is something that makes you just spin your head around and just look at it, because it's that beautiful and it just looks wondrous. Another thing I actually like about this chapter is where they actually crusade the most, and actually where they bring their purges, and that is in the Segmentum Pacificus. Now that is all the way to the west of the Imperium, and I always feel like this part of space doesn't get the love that it actually deserves. This is why I actually set up my own chapter, the Reclaimers of Dawn, to have their homeworld in the Segmentum Pacificus, because it doesn't really have, as I mentioned, that much love. So it's nice to see like another chapter, a well-established chapter, actually crusading there, bringing the justice of the Imperium to that part of space. Now this next chapter is debatable, because I actually wasn't going to put it on the list, but I had to, because you can argue that they've had the love in the form of models, they've had the love in the form of rules, and they've had the love in the form of lore, aka with books, but that's not stopping me from putting the Carcharodons, aka the Space Sharks, on this list. I actually think that these chaps deserve an entire book, like an entire rule book, dedicated to them. That is how much that they have a following. That's how much people love this chapter. You know, if you get people like the Dark Angels, the Blood Angels, the Black Templars coming soon, and they're gonna get get in, or they've had their own codex supplements. Why not the Carcharodons? Because they have the lore backing them up, they have the characters, and they have the fan base to back it up as well. I don't even know where to start when it comes to the Carcharodons on why I think they need more love. I think I'm going to start with just how brutal the Carcharodons are. They're probably one of the most brutal Space Marine chapters. Like, they will literally go in and rip you limb from limb. They will just butcher you. These chaps like kind of loyalist world eaters, like it's blood, gore, everything like that. You know, like, we all know like Space Marine chapters are brutal, but these chaps take it to the complete next level. Not only that they were also a part of probably one of the greatest known conflicts, one of the most awesome known conflicts in the Imperium, which is the Badab War, which saw them go against, you know, chapters like the Executioners, one of my favourite successor chapters. You had the Lamenters there, you had, you know, the Astral Claws there. Was it Astral Claws or Astral Knights? I forgot them. You know, it's the bloody heretic ones. But yeah, all that awesome stuff that goes along with that lore really makes me want to see more for the Carcharodons. I know their model at the moment, and their chapter master, I don't think you can get him anymore on Forge World. Maybe he did cross the Rubicon Primaris. Maybe he has improved himself a little bit more. Maybe it's time for GW to bring some more Carcharodon stuff out in terms of rules, transfer sheets, even new models. Next on the list are the Dark Hunters, and the Dark Hunters actually were going to get a book way back, but there was some problem with copyright, if I'm not mistaken. Like, someone actually complained that their book was called Dark Hunters, and then GW like had to pull it. I actually bought it over on the Black Library website, and like a week before it was supposed to go live, it got pulled from the shop, and I never ever got to listen to it. I was super excited about it because the Dark Hunters are successors of the White Scars, hence they are sons of Jagatai Khan. Jagatai Khan is probably one of my favourite Primarchs. Actually, he's my second favourite Primarch right after Dawn, because some of the stuff he does during the Siege of Terror and leading up to the Siege of Terror is absolutely brilliant. So when I saw the Dark Hunters were going to get the book, I was like, yeah, more kick-ass sons of Jagatai. This is going to be amazing. And then it all just fell apart, and we never really got to learn more about them. One of the stories that actually attracted me to these chaps wasn't anything to do with chaos or anything. It was something to do with orcs. I love a good orc versus Space Marine battle. I always love when Space Marines take on orcs, because it's just Daka versus Ceramite. It's absolutely beautiful. And in their case, they actually held off an orc war for 5 years. 5 whole bloody years, the Dark Hunters held off an entire orc war. These warriors are absolute heroes. They could be Sons of Dawn. Well, they should be, because they held their ground for that long, for 5 bloody years. I will induct them into the Sons of Dawn. That is how badass they are. So I think I have to call the video here, because I could literally make like a 20 to 30 minute video of just going on about underrated chapters that deserve more love. I have gone for a little honourable mentions list, which I never managed to make in this video, but I just want to give a shout out to the Howling Griffins. Love their colour scheme. I always call them Harry Potter Marines because I always like to banter a friend of mine. Nova Marines is another great army as well. I literally love the checky pattern. There's checky patterns everywhere in my mind when it comes to armies, and I love the blue and white of theirs. It reminds me of Man City because Man City are the best. Scythes of the Emperor. I should actually include Scythes of the Emperor in the little list because Scythes of the Emperor have actually kind of been reborn now in the lore, with Belisarius Call more or less going to Sofa and terraforming it, and he's going to be bringing life back to that planet with the Primaris Marines rebirthing it. Mantis Warriors is another chapter. They fought in the Badab War as well. They played a really big part in there. Brazen Claws, they are a successor chapter of the Iron Hands, aka Ferris's boys. Another great chapter. Star Phantoms is another great chapter that is going on this honourable mention list. And finally, the Storm Giants. I am a huge fan of the Storm Giants. One of the things that really stands out for the Storm Giants is that their physical strength is more than a typical Space Marine, and like the Inquisition, if I'm not mistaken, want to test them, and they're like, no, you're not testing us at all. We are what we are. Everyone, keep your paws off us. We just like to lift the jib, and it makes us, you know, that much more stronger. So there's a bit of like mystery about the Storm Giants. I think originally they were White Scars, but if you look in the Space Marine Codex, I think they come under unknown foundings now, or unknown gene lineage or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm always going to put them down to White Scars because that's what it is in my mindset. Anyway, enough rambling. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Of course, I would love to get your little list on underrated chapters. Is there some chapters I haven't mentioned there? Is there chapters that are on my list that don't deserve to be there? Post it down below and we can have a nice little talk about it as we always do. See you now. Have a great day and bye-bye.